time. We're here. We're back. Welcome back to the Field of 12 College Football Championship. I almost said welcome back to the championship game. We haven't gotten there yet.
You're not wrong.
It is. I'm not wrong.
All right, good.
Christian Hackenberg got my back right here. As do these two gentlemen. Trevor Knight, Bryce Petty. Home of college football pregame show. We're going with you now. We're live. We're an hour out from the heavyweight matchup. We've been waiting on this all year long. These two trains have been on the same track for the whole entire season, and we're here now. Here we go. First, your impression of the day, the experience.
Got fried shrimp,
shrimp
gumbo.
Are we on air?
We're on air.
This is Kai.
Thank you, Kai. Hey, we're rolling here at the Ellison Brewing Company. These things are flowing all day. Amazing service. We're almost there, boys. We're almost there. We're an hour out. Fellas, George, back to you.
This is a unique setup. Since his first national championship, how many times has Nick Saban's teams been an underdog?
Since his first one? Twice.
I'm going to go. I think Clemson once. It's got to be Clemson once. Including this game.
Before tonight.
I'm going to go twice.
Twice. 2 times since their first national championship.
So 2 out of 8.
No, not in championship games. Games.
Oh, games.
Games.
Period.
Games. Period.
And those two have been in national championship games.
How about that?
God, are you
they
kidding?
do not run up against a betting equivalent. Alabama is your 1920s Yankees team. How often are they really going to run up against a bigger, badder buzzsaw? It's only been 2 times in its history. We got that from our incredible producer, Greg, who's coming in with the fire. Since his first national championship, twice has Nick Saban been an underdog. Fellas, we're here. Once again, how do we feel about the overall matchup? These are the two that are dancing tonight, but are these the two that we wanted? Bryce.
It's 100% the two that we wanted. I think, when we talked about, the 5 families going back to the very first After Dark show that we all got on, these two were in our matchup, and it was really these two and everybody else. We had Clemson in there, we had Oklahoma in there, but between Alabama and Georgia, this was really the crop that we were saying, man, this is just, these guys are prowess when it comes to Division I football. This is the matchup that I think that we all wanted to see. The fact that it's a rematch, the fact that it was 41-24 Alabama over Georgia in the SEC championship game is even better. So I think this is setting up for a hell of a game, and really excited about it.
Trevor, what are those 70,000 fans? What's going to indicate whether they're up, down? Like, what's going to take place center stage for them? Like, in your view?
Well, first of all, based off of Ellison Brewing Company, a lot of dogs in the house. A few Bama fans here and there, but I see this stadium being well over 50% Georgia Bulldogs. That's like a home game. Yeah. So from an energy standpoint, I think Georgia's going to come out with a lot more positive energy. This is their shot for revenge. This is their shot to go win a national title. This is their shot to do everything that they scoped out to do. They've got a bad taste in their mouth after the SEC title game. I think if Georgia comes out and Stetson Bennett leads this team down the field on the first drive and they put it in the end zone, whether it's through the air, on the ground, 40 yards out, a freaking QB sneak, whatever it is, if they score on the first drive, these dog fans are going to go nuts. It's going to set the tone for the end of the night. And I really do think for the first time in a long time, you're going to see, at least from an energy standpoint, it ticking towards the Georgia Bulldogs opposed to the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Will they be able to sustain that hack? If the Bulldogs come down, get one on the board early, no doubt that's going to set the scene for them.
Right.
That'll give them a boost, a shot in the arm, some confidence. aside from getting that first score in the first drive, what's essential for Georgia tonight?
So here's the thing. So Georgia jumped out early. You go back to the SEC championship game. They were up 10-0 early on Alabama. Couldn't sustain it. Couldn't ride the highs and lows. I think for Georgia tonight, it's going to be about if you can get out the same way, get out fast, but down. Manage the peaks and valleys.
Yep.
Manage the ebbs and flows of the game.
The big plays,
understand,
drop ball.
Yeah, exactly. But understand that Alabama's going to come out and they're going to make football plays.
Right.
They have some really good football players on their side of the ball. They're going to be able to expose you in some ways that you haven't been familiar with. Minimize that, but stay the course.
Yep.
Ride the ship.
And weather that storm.
I think if they can weather the storm, if Georgia can understand what's going on and weather the storm, they'll be in a really good situation. Settle in defensively, create some chaos on those first and second downs, do what they've done all year, which is win those downs, keep teams behind the sticks, have them in favorable down and distances and situations, mainly passing situations. I know it's a hard thing to say because Bryce Young just won the Heisman Trophy, but put the ball in his hands because at the end of the day, that's your best chance at creating some opportunities from a standpoint of turnovers, short fields. You go down the line, the things that Georgia thrives on with great defense and an offense that is very much so dependent on staying on schedule, managing the clock, and rolling down the field. So, to me, I think Georgia just needs to stay the course, manage the emotions early. If they can handle that, I think they'll put themselves in a really good situation.
I think to compound that situation, you got to be a bully to the bully.
100%.
And to me, Todd Monken and that offensive line, one from a tactical standpoint, those guys from a physical standpoint, you got to flip the field running. And I don't think you just keep trying to run up against a brick wall, mix in your screens and your draws, release a little pressure here or there, but don't get cute. You're the bully all year. You're the bully in one-score games. In one-score games this year, Georgia is 1-0. One-score games. What's Alabama's record this year?
0-2.
They've been in
I'm looking
five.
at 4-1.
4-1. Alabama's been in five one-score
there you
games.
go.
Five opponents have gotten with Alabama within one score, to include Florida, who was down 42-7 to Samford. So now watch this. Out of those 5 ball games, 3 of those 4 wins were against teams that finished 6 and 7. Alabama is susceptible to a barroom brawl. They can get swept and put on the floor. They've just been getting out of it. Georgia, once. One time in a one-score game. Yeah. Be yourself. Be a bully. Come out there, chin up, chest up, and go out there and go to work. Look what they did with Michigan. Look what they did with the rest of the country. But there is a nuance, Bryce, to this. When you're going against your rival, our guy earlier there, the fan was, I forget our guy, the
Love and Life.
Sparky guy that was right here. He said, our older brother, our big brother. But you're going to have to bow up tonight, Bryce.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And to, kind of accentuate that, the ideas about adjustments, the fact that Georgia can play with Alabama, and they've shown that. They're 0-4 in the last meetings with Alabama. But interesting stat here, 171 out of the 240 total minutes, Georgia has been leading the game.
Wow.
Can you finish? That's all it is can you finish for Georgia? And I think going into this game, I think that they're ready. I think that they're ready to do that. But to your point, George, Alabama has had times where they've had to come back. Those one-score games tell you a lot about yourself. We've all been in those situations of can you come back?
That's key.
Another stat, too, talking about Stetson Bennett, but he's 6th overall QBR when they are leading. I was telling George about this. He's 71st in QBR when they're not leading.
Now, what's that say to the common fan? Break that down.
All that means is to be totally honest, when you break it down, is he forces things when he doesn't need to. The 2 picks that we're talking about in the SEC championship game were in the second half when he didn't need to. So total QBR takes into all the metrics of when it was first, second, third down, pressure situation, yardage, the whole thing. His QBR. To go from 6th overall leading to 71st down,
which means he's good as a front runner.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good with the
It
lead.
tells me a lot that he
Not
starts
very
to
good,
pressure
though.
situations. So to your point, Kenton can put him in positions to be successful and operate, and for that offense to stay, in front of the chains when they're down and just process.
From a mentality standpoint, think about this. Georgia's in the same conference as Alabama, and vice versa. You see them every week. When you get on your ESPN app as a player, you know where they're at, you know who they played, you game plan against them, you have a familiarity with this football team. When you're typically going into a bowl game, a playoff, even a national championship game, it's going against a different conference. You're going against somebody that you don't follow year in and year out.
You got to study and learn.
You got to study, you got to learn, hey, this is not only bragging rights for our team, it's for our conference, the whole deal. Hey, you are the top dog, Alabama, in our conference. Sure, we may be more talented. We may have a favor in the game. Obviously, Georgia's the favor in this one. But they understand because they follow them all year long. Hey, you're still the big brother. We're the younger brother. We got to play. Does that play a role in the mindset coming into this for every single person on that Georgia football team of, hey, I'm the little brother. I understand that. You guys have been doing this for a long time. I follow you all year long. It's not a one-hit wonder. We see you all year long. It could be interesting.
I think that's an interesting point. However, what I'm going to say is the way that Georgia has attacked that SEC schedule. Realistically speaking, teams they played, opponents they faced, very similar. Georgia attacked this schedule in I'm going to say it, in a legendary level.
Yeah.
The way that defense attacked it,
Less than a
the way
touchdown
they've held people, they've attacked it. I don't think that that's necessarily going to be an issue for this football team. I think this football team's going to show up understanding that their only slip-up this year has been in the SEC championship game against Alabama. You see one of the guys that I'm going to talk about later, Jordan Davis, saying how we took this SEC championship game for granted. I wasn't necessarily in the best shape. I didn't play every snap to the best of my ability. I think when you have leaders on your football team who are able to reflect on that situation and say, I could have done better. When you have this, one of the things you talked about, Trevor, tomorrow, both of these football teams are going to be able to kick their feet up, whether they're heading into draft training, whether they're heading into spring ball and winter workouts. Both of these teams are going to have about a week and a half to kick their feet up and reflect on this football season. And I think when you look at it top to bottom, the way Georgia has played this entire year, I think that from a talent standpoint, this team can show up tonight, play their hearts out, and I think that they are the more talented football team. I don't think you could say that about many other times when Alabama rolled into town in a national championship game. I don't think you could say that. I truly believe that this Georgia team was assembled properly. I think Kirby did a hell of a job in recruiting, and I think he's going to continue to do a hell of a job in recruiting and building this program in the right direction. And for me, this game is monumental for Georgia moving forward. If they win this football game, they are now a major player in college football moving forward in terms of national championship contention and preseason rankings heading into this football game.
So let's go into that. Right off of what Hack's saying, national championship implication games. National championship implication games. When there's been a round two, it's happened 5 times, a rematch in the same season for the national championship. The loser won the rematch all 5 times. Now, on the flip side, again, we have a crack team between Greg and Dagan, our producers. Nick Saban is 3-0 in rematches. That does not apply to him. So the convention says the loser takes it the second time, redeems himself. It's been about redemption. That does not apply to a Nick Saban involved game. 3-0. There's probably all kind of statistics where there's an O next to the Saban statistical breakdown. Fellas, let's go to key matchups. Let's go to key matchups. They're all over the board. This is an NFL GM's dream game to be at. Like you could throw a rock anywhere on the field and find yourself a player for 15 years. Trev, let's go with you. when you look at both teams, both tribes, who do you see as the critical matchup?
This took me some time to figure out, George, because I think you could essentially point at any position group against another position group, and you would have merit in this game of a key matchup, which is great. The two that I picked out starts at the top. Nick Saban, Kirby Smart. We've talked about it a lot today. Mentor versus mentee. Does Kirby Smart have it in him to infiltrate that entire locker room to get up and go get after the Crimson Tide? We will find out. The other one, we've talked about this kid a lot today. Stetson Bennett. What he goes up against is not a healthy secondary by the Alabama Crimson Tide. They are battered. They are bruised. I thought that they had some key guys step up in the playoff game. Kool-Aid McKinstry, the all-name team, he steps up at corner, and I think he did an incredible job stepping into his role. That's the thing about Bama. It's next guy up mentality, and I think they've done a great job of that. But if Stetson Bennett has an opportunity to pick on a very battered Alabama secondary, I think this is the opportunity for him. That's my key matchup.
I cannot rubber stamp that one, but I do love you drawing the attention on that. We'll come back around on that one again, Trev.
The all-name team.
That was fantastic.
Slight snap, let it dribble out, let it bleed a little bit. Look, George, I'm excited. I like that matchup that you presented in terms of the head coaches. To me, my matchup is really up front. It's Bama's front five. Those five big guys up front. We had one sitting right here today, Barrett Jones, 3-time national champion. I didn't realize until I was looking at Trevor's laptop. Dude, the accolades this guy racked up.
Can I share some of them real quick?
He's a freaking rocket scientist.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Trevor.
3-time BCS national champion.
Barrett Jones, by the way.
Wiffle Trophy winner, which I won as well. It's the Good Guy Award. Outland Trophy winner.
He had to drop that in there.
Jim Parker Trophy. First team All-SEC. Unanimous All-American. Consensus All-American. Campbell Trophy, the Academic Heisman, Academic All-American, Member of the Year, today's Top 10 Award, whatever that means. I mean, you go down this list. He's not only a player, he not only has several rings on his fingers, but the dude is cerebrally out of this world.
I love it. One of the most trusted Tide players.
I'm telling you, and what I heard from my
time.
trusted sources, it was between Michael Strahan and Barrett Jones at Good Morning America. It is what it is. But look, when you talk about
To go on.
Yeah. To do what? To go up SpaceX, the whole thing.
Oh, interesting.
It was real.
Bryce Petty cracking news.
That's it. Shit. All right. So when you talk about Alabama's front five versus Georgia's front seven, specifically because, man, when you watch that SEC championship game the first time, they really didn't get to Bryce Young. They had 0 sacks in that game. So what I really think now, is that going to be Kirby Smart putting in some nuances? Are they going to blitz more? Are they going to blitz less? Who the heck knows? We don't have Mitch in there, so that means we're really kind of one track in terms of Jamison Williams, which that guy's a stud. But look, when you go to the stats, when they pressured him, he was 8 of 20 for 91 yards. Okay, they got to 50% of the time, just meaning hurries, right? Just hurried 50% of the time. When they did not pressure him, just base defense, he was 18 of 24 for 330 yards and 3 touchdowns. They pressured him 24% of the time. I mean, to me, that tells me everything. This battle, in terms of who's going to win and lose this game, this key matchup to what we're talking about right now, is all in the trenches. It's these big guys, these Jordan Davises, Nikhil Deans. Those guys have to take over this game for that Georgia defense to be the White Walkers that we claim them to be. It never started with Stetson Bennett and those guys. It was always that 11 guys on that defensive unit. That's, to me, the key matchup of this game.
For me, I'm going to take it a little bit deeper. I'm going to go to a relationship that I've had with Bill O'Brien and Dan Lanning. So, to get into the minutia of this, and I've been using this word
real quick.
It's been my
buckle up,
to get into the minutia real quick.
Can you spell minutia?
No, I'm not a spelling bee. And actually, spelling has 0 to do with your natural intelligence. So
It starts with M.
you're going next level. So anyway,
let's let him do
I
this
just want to
real
go
quick.
deeper.
So it's been my
you'll hear about
SAT
this
word
later,
of the
but
day.
minutia spell.
It's been my SAT word of the day.
right.
And quite frankly, Dan Lanning has had a hell of a trajectory in terms of where he's at right now. The guy started as actually a high school football coach in right outside of Kansas City, Missouri. Drove up to Pittsburgh, got himself a GA job under Todd Graham. Todd Graham, godfather of the 3-4 defense. Brought a ton of pressure, a lot of exotic looks. Built that into ultimately becoming a GA under Saban during a national championship run in, I believe, 2017. With all of that coming in, he then bounced over to Georgia, was under Mel Tucker. Mel Tucker took the job at Colorado and has now gone to Michigan State. Obviously a very defensive-minded guy, and has been studying under Kirby Smart now for a few years and has the defensive coordinator job since Mel Tucker left. Dan has taken the 3-4 defense that he learned from Todd. Again, something that Saban has had as his baby forever, transitioned it in today's game. Back in the day, the 3-4 was based on big guys up front, commanding double teams, being able to play gap sound football and stop the run. The game has changed. Offensive football has gone to the spread. This is the evolution of Bill O'Brien, guy who I played for, very much zone-oriented, run the football, being able to command the line of scrimmage and then work off of that and play action and things of that nature when I was with him. Had Deshaun Watson in the pros. Shifted mentality. Now you have a guy like Bryce Young, ton of ability, really good at the green grass throws, RPO, came up in that system, high school. It's becoming a thing, the spread offense, however you want to talk it, however you want to name it. Bryce, you're familiar with it over there with Art Briles. You have a ton of guys that have adopted this. Defensively, you had to start making some adjustments. No longer is it where I can command the line of scrimmage with some big guys, depend on them, depend on my other back half to be able to play in space, have guys who are predicated on stopping the run.
Yep.
Not anymore. We're going to transition now to what Kirby Smart has done and Dan Lanning at Georgia. They have created a situation where they have guys up front who can command double teams. They went to a 3-4 that has now shrunk the B-gap bubbles. They set of five techniques. They've been playing more 4 eyes. A lot of flexibility. They can play in 4-down spacing and 3-down personnel. It's confusing as hell for the quarterback from a protection standpoint. When you're doing all of these things, and I'm not going to dive super deep into this because it can go on forever, but when you're doing all of these things, I think the personnel they have at Georgia right now creates a unique opportunity for them to confuse Bryce Young pre-snap. The thing that you brought up, Bryce, about moving Bryce Young off his spot, creating some pressure, what that means as the quarterback and in terms of your execution. It has been the factor, and it's something they did not do in the SEC championship game at a high enough clip to be able to slow down Bryce. If they can do that tonight, if they can create that confusion, they can create that chaos inside of the pocket tonight, I think it's a big thing for Georgia. And if they can do that, that's my matchup. It's the cat and mouse game between Dan Lanning and a guy who I have a lot of respect for and a lot of history with, and Bill O'Brien. The cat and mouse game between these two guys. Can they work back and forth? Can Bill scheme some things up to minimize that pressure, make the game simple for Bryce Young? Young guy, big stage, simplify it. And can Dan Lanning continue to put the pressure on with the gas pedal in terms of confusion defensively with looks, pre-snap, post-snap confirmation, things of that nature. That's one of my key matchups. And then to go on that, Brock Bowers is an elite talent.
I think we'll go players coming up.
Yeah, but he's also one of my key matchups.
Okay.
I think Brock Bowers versus the Alabama secondary and safeties and linebackers is going to be a huge matchup, and we'll dive deeper into it. I'll let you go from there. But those are my two things to watch for: and the interior, that front seven, and interior of the secondary Alabama.
Little trailer there for the Christian Hackenberg documentary podcast coming out summer 2022. Be sure to catch on that. You guys ever go to like a buddy's house or some friends? They had some pizzas there. You were late, and it's like a slice left, a bunch of crusts. Gracias. Just as
Ellison Brewing
Company. I feel following Bryce and following Christian, great minds obviously on the same page. Same thing. It literally is your ability to affect Bryce Young, and I think, from my perspective, it's because he's the biggest catalyst in this game. Everyone else is so connected in terms of a unit. Everyone else is so connected to a chain setup. It is your ability to pressure Bryce Young. It is your ability to confuse and misguide coverages and defensive schemes with Bryce Young. Get him to hold the ball. Trap him into the pocket. Don't let him squeeze and skirt out of there and make another play. He's not bombing at 50 yards. He's not running at 50 yards. But what he is going to break your back on 3rd and 7 with a nice and neat 12-yard gain. That's what he's doing. So now what do the White Walkers do? Bringing pressure to Hack's point leaves you at risk. It's gambling. I send extra people and extra bodies to come get you. I expose myself on the back end. Does he see it fast enough? Is the ball gone fast enough? And that goes a lot to Hack what you were saying about with Billy O. Does he see this game coming as well? Can the two of them play around the turn? Can they play ahead and try to eliminate some of that pressure? It is going to be exciting. I am curious, are the White Walkers, who for all this talk about the White Walkers this year, they've been fairly conservative in terms of dialing up blitzes and pressures, right? They've been fairly conservative. So as the DJ starts to kind of tune it up, you can tell we're getting close to the game. The Field of 12 College Football Show. Trevor Knight, Bryce Petty, Christian Hackenberg, George Whitfield, Ellison Brewing Company, Indianapolis. We are here earlier and all day and all week. This is a dog's bar. All those guys have waddled over there to Lucas Oil to cheer on their dogs, to go see it. We do have a couple people here that are going to watch the game with us. There'll be more coming back once the game is over with. We hope you guys roll with us. Fellas, now let's turn the page now. We got the matchup situation, and it sounds like the majority of us feel like it is Alabama's O-line to withstand the White Walkers and all the other elements. This is going to open things up a bit. I would like the key players, in your opinion, who will affect the game. Can I get one from each team? Trev, let's go with you. Who is the key players you think this game will ride on?
I've got a couple for both teams, but I'll pick one to your request there. I think we haven't talked about these two guys all day long. The running back stable for Georgia. Okay. They still have to, for Stetson Bennett to be successful, they still have to establish a run game. You've got two guys in Samir White and James Cook who shared the load. Samir White is kind of the front runner, but James Cook has got a lot of carries this year as well. If they can establish the run game, it will open things up for Stetson Bennett, allow him to get some quick, easy completions, get his confidence under his belt, and we can move on down the road from the offensive side of the Georgia Bulldogs. Coming with Alabama, we've talked about it a little bit on this show. 10 out of 11 of the first plays in the college football playoff were runs. Brian Robinson Jr., again, to establish a run game. Can number 4 tote the rock against the best front 7 that we've seen in, I'm going to go out and say a decade, maybe longer, right? If he can establish that 3, 4, even 5 yards a carry, it's going to put Bryce Young and the rest of that offense in a much better position to be successful, turn first downs into touchdowns, and be successful.
Love it, love it, love it. I've got so many good things to say about what you just mentioned. I love going to the backfield. I think it's an interesting matchup because, to me, I don't see this game getting to the backfield. I see this game playing up front, playing with the QB because of the fact that the front 7 on both sides of the ball are really on both these teams from Alabama and Georgia are so good. Even on the SEC championship game, Brian Robinson had 55 yards, and 19 carries. So I think this is going to play through the air. Now, with that being said, for the Alabama side, no John Minchie anymore. That's a big loss for Alabama. Torn ACL, big deal. That means they can key on Jamison Williams, and I think that's going to present some interesting matchup positions for Alabama on the outside. Is can they have the big plays? Can they make the big plays without having their big time receivers? On the Georgia side of the ball, I don't know how you go anywhere else outside of Stetson Bennett. Played a hell of a game against these guys in the first go around. 300+ yards, but had 2 costly picks. Yep. Can he keep his offense in front of the chains? Can he keep on schedule and stop with the I hate saying bonehead plays, but he has some bonehead plays.
Stop throwing dice.
That's the thing. He'll throw some things where again pre-snap reads, and we talk about it all the time in the quarterback room. That doesn't always mean it's confirmed.
Correct.
You have to confirm it after the snap, and I think a lot of times he kind of gets locked in on those pre-snap reads. So can he continue to do that? Put these guys the best chance to be successful. So Stetson Bennett is my guy on Georgia's side of the ball.
For me, it's I think Stetson plays a huge role. I don't want that to be minimized. I think Bryce did a great enough job elaborating on that. For me, it's Jordan Davis. I think when you talk about the front seven, this guy's the nose tackle for Georgia.
A silverback.
Dude, this guy's an animal. He's 6'6", 340, moves like a running back. I don't think he showed up. One of the points that we made about Georgia creating pressure, Georgia's averaged 3 sacks a football game.
You don't think he showed up?
I don't think he showed up in the SEC championship game.
Bet you won't tell him that to his face.
I probably won't. But I mean, if I was his coach, I'd figure out a way how to do it creatively to motivate him for tonight.
Real
Slide that note in there.
You got to do it, Kirby. You got all day sitting in an office like, all right, how am I going to motivate Jordan Davis? Shit. Anyway, my point being, I think Jordan Davis is going to be a major factor in this game. He's the anchor of most 3-4 defenses. You talk about your nose guard being able to create chaos, being able to command double teams and allow your linebackers to play in space.
Yep.
For me, the way this defense is built, he needs to show up tonight. I think this Georgia team obviously needs to create some pressure on Bryce Young, force him into some uncomfortable throws, some uncomfortable situations, and I think it all starts with Jordan Davis. So for me, my key player tonight is him showing up. If he shows up on tape, not necessarily on the stat sheet, he doesn't need to have an incredible game on the stat sheet. He just needs to create enough chaos up front, command enough attention for everybody else to go out there and play well. If Jordan Davis does this tonight, I'm telling you right now, it's going to create a lot of opportunities for everybody else on that defense. And at least I'll be one of the guys. I know there's a few others out there, but I'll be one of the guys giving him all of the credit tonight, no matter what the stat sheet reads, if he shows up.
Who do you like on Bama's team?
Who do I like?
Quickly. Key player.
Quickly?
For Bama.
It's Bryce Young. We talk about this matchup. If Bryce shows up, what Georgia needs to do and what Georgia has done, their DNA has been keeping teams behind schedule. They've been getting them out. They've been winning first and second down more than anybody in the country. It's a Pro Football Focus stat. They've won it over 60% of the time. They've put people in obvious passing situations on third down. Bryce Young needs to show up and execute. If Bryce Young does not show up and execute and Georgia does what their entire formula has been all year, they're going to force him to do that. If he doesn't show up, it's a problem.
Yeah. I agree with all of you guys. I'm just going to draw attention to 2 other guys that I think I can't wait to see what they do on Sundays. I'm not trying to fast forward their career arc or their path. 2 guys for me quickly, the Unstoppables. Like there really are no answers for these 2 as players or schemes. For Georgia, probably the best freshman football player, and I'm saying that as we had a freshman win the Heisman, and we've seen other freshmen do special things. Probably one of the best freshman football players we've seen in decades in Brock Bowers. A tight end who can do all things. I can play receiver and play out on the edge. I don't have to just go downfield and get home runs or work in the middle of the field. I can also catch screens and affect it from the inside. Also a blocking threat. Also draws a lot of attention and also has that dog where I can throw the ball up if I become Stetson Bennett in a jam and get out of the jam. So Brock Bowers for me on Georgia. For Bama, and I think Bryce, you or Trevor mentioned this guy earlier, probably the best football player in America. Heck, he just didn't have the Heisman love, is Will Anderson. Linebacker, heart, soul, everything. He kind of reminds me of Jon Snow. When you see Jon Snow with that sword and the Northerners coming after him and he's got the sword right there waiting. That's Will Anderson. The heart and soul. So smart. I love hearing his breakdowns. I love hearing him with his teammates and how he sees the game. Will Anderson is going to be a problem tonight. Led college football in tackles for loss. Led Alabama in sacks. And he's going to lead them in a lot of ways tonight.
It's altitude up here, though.
George, hey, grab you a honey bun.
Yeah, grab you a honey bun.
So don't take a honey bun. It's going to help.
Damn good.
But I will get on some of this refreshment from Ellison Brewing Company down here, Madison Avenue, Indianapolis, Indiana. You got to come on down. You got to roll with us. If you're at the game, we'll see you after. If you're rolling around Indianapolis and you're like, where would we hang? Where could some big-time college quarterbacks and pro quarterbacks give us something to sip on? It's right here. Hack, Bryce, Trevor, they've got it for you. This guy will get you double of whatever you ask for. Come on down, Ellison Brewing Company, Madison Avenue, Indianapolis. Come on down. We'll be down here, Field of 12 college football show. Fellas, so we have our basic game thoughts. We covered the key matchups. We just covered 8 different football players. Let's go to the betting line here, which is very interesting. We talked about this earlier. Right now, closing out, and we'll go to Greg. Greg, what's the line right now? 3, 2.5.
3.
It moved? Georgia is a 3.
It moved to 3.
The Bulldogs are a field goal favorite. How do we feel about that line? Obviously, Vegas knows what it knows. Is that reasonable to put the Dogs a 3-point favorite? They get knocked out by the Roman Army. They beat up Michigan, and they're the favorite in this?
I've had enough bets go south on me, George. I've lost enough money to know that those guys in Vegas, whatever software system they have, they know a lot more than I do. And my gut feeling only goes so far. My wallet, it could tell me otherwise. 3 points, that's what I've said for a week and a half. I got Georgia 34, Bama 31. I got it right on the dot right now. I'm sticking with it.
Oh my.
Georgia Bulldogs, 3-point favorite. I'm hitting it straight on the head.
What was the line when they met in the SEC title game? Can you guys pull that? 6.5. Georgia or Bama?
It should have been Georgia.
Alabama plus 6.5.
Yeah.
So Georgia was favored by almost a touchdown the first time they met.
Yeah, swag.
They met these hands, and that was that. Everybody got a plan.
I tell you,
Until you get punched
So
in
you
the
get
face.
pitched
I'm
in
with
the
Trevor, man. I love the line on this. I think I'm hammering the line hard. I actually just texted 2 buddies to go ahead and sit.
Go ahead, give me in on
That Rivers, they be able to
Give him the free 10.
Give him the free 10.
Text your boys.
Give him the free 10.
So
Bet
while
Rivers.
I already did that.
Bryce Petty's
Yeah,
going to
I
hit
did
his
that.
boys up right now. For those of you guys at home watching, Bet Rivers, get on.
250 on them dogs.
And put in free, FREE 10, the number 10. Go in right now while the lines are being set. You got yourself a little time.
$10.
You think you can make a little money tonight? Go in now.
Gentlemen.
Bet Rivers. Nobody else to go with.
Gentlemen out there, all you guys listening.
I can't wait.
Hey,
And girls.
And gals, but
Yeah,
listen,
come on.
gentlemen, this is a shout out to you guys. I'm calling y'all out. We got Valentine's Day coming up.
yeah.
I know you want a nice gift.
birthday.
I know you want the hotel. I know you want the flowers. And I know, hey, it's been a rough year, whatever.
But you know what
spent
she'll
too
really
much on
love?
your whiskey cabinet. Go to Bet Rivers, put that money on. Get you a nest egg so you can treat your lady nice. This
Take the
Valentine's
line.
Day. That's all
Take
it
it.
takes.
Take
That's
it.
all it takes.
Listen, and that's free. He gave you that for free.
Very true.
Bada bing, bada boom.
That's what you get, Field of 12. We got you covered. Quite literally. Hack, 3-point favorite for the Dogs
Yes.
against a team that just knocked them out by 3 touchdowns 2 weeks ago? Is that remotely close to what it should be?
So here's something I alluded to early on.
The minutia of the situation.
The minutia.
You're gonna go deeper in the minutia.
I'm not going into minutia. And I'm not going on a deep dive here, Bryce. I'm going to leave that to you and RG3 after this. So my thought process on this is, I think when you look at the SEC championship game, Stetson Bennett gave Alabama a few short fields, gave them some cheap points. I think when you look at that 17-point spread, there were some cheap ones there. I'm not going to buy that 1,000%. I don't think it was necessarily the fact that Alabama outplayed them. I think it was just they capitalized on some opportunities that were gifted to them due to some poor decision making.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do here is I said it in August, the first show we were together in my bunker, as Bryce calls it, with all of my Campbell's soup and ramen noodles. I said that Georgia was my national championship pick. I would be a fraud had I not continued to ride with my dogs. Just SSU championship game aside, I'm going Georgia here. I'm going 31-28 with the line. I love the fact that Kirby Smart came out after the Michigan game last week, completely different mentality. Didn't want a Gatorade bath. He wanted them to know that Alabama had a 4-hour head start on them because their game kicked off earlier. I think his approach, the attack of this team is going to be completely different. I think the defense has something to prove. And to me, I think Georgia's got enough offensively to be able to do it. And I'm going, like I said, with the dogs, 31-28 with the line, because I do also, like Trevor, trust Vegas. Too many bad experiences trying to play with those guys, and they've had a lot of time to analyze this game. I'm going with them.
I'm going to hold on the prediction. Pat gave you his for free as a tease early. The rest of us will go with our predictions. Regarding the line, I think it's ridiculous. A team and a dynasty like this, a general like this, the Heisman Trophy like this, and you make them the dogs? You make them the dogs. They win by 3 touchdowns 3 weeks ago in a head-up at a neutral site. We had the same thing in round 2, and they're the dogs? They're the dogs?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand. They come back in, they're healthy, they're fired up. They spend more time in this part of the year than any team, any program, anywhere, and they're the dogs? How dare you?
It's practice.
It'll all be played out, though. It'll all be played out.
Not the game. Not the game.
It will bear out. Alabama, underdog. Say that a couple times to yourself. Say it to yourself. After they just knocked this team out. 40-something. I don't even know what the score was. A lot to a little. And they're the dogs?
I'm with this.
I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. I'm so fired. I've been waiting on that. I've been holding that back.
We took a walk today. George was in there giving himself his own little hype speech, talking about Bama being some dog.
I'm just simply saying, who gets their whole head rocked off and knocked off in a boxing match? They come back a month later to fight the same dude, and they're the favorite.
So
it makes no sense.
I'm just assuming, that you're taking Bama at +3. I'm assuming.
You better.
It would feel good. Before we go into our predictions, I'm going to settle down, get hydrated quickly.
Got to catch up.
I'm all fired up.
Yeah. How dare they? How dare they?
Field of 12, college football. We got a couple of questions that are coming in. Again, you guys always laugh, but the producers and we field them, and all I do is turn to you guys and get them out. First question from Los Angeles. This is for Trevor. And let's see, who's it say? From Katie from Los Angeles. Kind of ironic. If Georgia is down at the half by a touchdown, will they look to JT Daniels to get going?
Whoa! That's a
great question.
We need fireball.
I think it's dependent
Bucket
on
of
what
balls.
that first half looks like. Not dependent on the score, but is Stetson Bennett getting it done? I talked about this a little bit earlier in our show. You look at this last matchup. The Alabama Crimson Tide takes a Jalen Hurts who has lost 2 games in his career. They bench him at halftime to put in the young gun, Tua Tagovailoa. He throws a touchdown to Devontae Smith, ends up being the hero. They hoist the trophy at the end of the night. Is the script flipped? Will Stetson Bennett step up like he's done, like Todd Monken said, hey, he has just continued to be the guy? Or will he come out, moments too big for him, he can't get it done? They look in the locker room and say, JT, let's get that arm warmed up. Let's throw you in there. Let's see what can happen.
Ooh.
I don't think that will happen at this point. I think even if they're down a score, they're within striking distance. Roll with Stetson. He ends up finding a way to get it done like he's done his whole life as the underdog. I'm rolling with Stetson. I'm still rolling with the Dogs.
Real quick. If they're down 7 at half, theoretically 17-10.
Ride with my boy.
You ride.
Riding.
What'd you say?
Down at half by 7, Georgia, do they switch? If they're ineffective on offense, do they switch?
But if you're down by 7, are you ineffective?
That's what Alabama was down to Georgia when
It's Katie's
Tua
question.
came in.
I'm just
and took
answering
over.
Katie's question. It's her question.
I don't know where Katie's at at UCLA.
She's gearing up.
No, I agree with. I think there's context. I think there's elements that the average fan overlooks. I think there's elements that need to be obviously observed. But again, I'm going to sit here and say this as a guy that rode Stetson very hard and thought that they needed to go with JT from the jump. I'm going to give the kid his roses. I love his mentality.
So
I think he has power. I'm going to stick with him. Unless there's elements of it where it may call for it, but I think that ultimately goes up to Kirby Smart. He's going to have to make that decision.
Hack is rolling with Bennett. Trevor's rolling with Bennett. Bryce is rolling with Bennett. JT Daniels, come on down. Every man must be ready to contribute.
JT better
And real quick, this was a totally different situation. Jalen Hurts is a far worse thrower. I think that we can
But
all
he's
say
also
than
got
Tua.
a 26-2
That doesn't matter.
Winning
game
matters.
called for. No,
Winning matters.
No, what the game called for was
In
Alabama
that
to
particular,
throw.
that's right, and they did it, and they made the change. Stetson Bennett can also be rendered
Yeah, that
ineffective.
was to exactly your point.
How do you
be
put
ready.
No, it's
how do you
not.
put Jalen Hurts in that low of a category, and he's leading the Eagles to a playoff berth right
Passing.
now?
I'm not putting him in any category.
Birds.
I'm saying at that time, Tua was a much better thrower.
True.
This
Was
is
he
not
though?
a situation.
He's a
You
So-
are essentially taking the legs out from under a cat that we have all
Before
said
we
is
get into
way more athletic.
old
than-
Alabama quarterback
my
battles, let's go to our man Carter from Royal Oak.
No.
This one, Carter from Royal
West side or
Oak.
east side of the train tracks?
East side.
East side. Bet.
East
Mike,
side.
that's where you're from, yeah?
This one's for Hack. And Carter stresses quickly. Carter says quickly.
I don't think Carter said that.
Under the radar.
Carter hasn't been around Hack when he's drunk.
Under the radar player.
Nothing quick.
Who is the under the radar player we will read about tomorrow in this game?
good question.
That's a great question. I'm going to be completely honest with you. That's a great question. I can't go there, George. I think right now,
Because there's so many highly rated players. If we're honest,
I think there's so many big names involved in this football game that at the end of the day, when all this dust settles, there's going to be somebody that is a decision maker in terms of the outcome, but it's the way it just plays out from the pool that you're pulling. I don't think you're going to need to dive into some.
But if I
walk-off.
can, I don't want to take Carter's question
I
from
want
you.
you to do
I
it.
think that James Cook could be that guy because
Yeah.
I think that what we saw in this
Is he
Michigan
under the
game
radar?
is James Cook moving to the outside and creating some mismatches, especially how much man Alabama plays on the defensive side of the ball. I think that James Cook could be that guy to have a few catches on that outside. We already know Stetson Bennett loves throwing that go ball to him.
But you
That
think
could be-
more so than Brock Bowers?
I think Brock Bowers is already going to be a guy. we
what I'm
talk
saying.
about underestimated guy, right?
Yeah,
I think a guy that
I
we're not
agree.
thinking about would be a James Cook. In a running back committee, you're thinking about him on the ground, what they've done with him outside.
But
is
they have
pretty
to.
good.
But I'm going to say this right now: the way George is built, they're going to have to establish a between the tackles run game in order to put Stetson in a
100%,
situation where he can be
agree.
successful.
And to take
If
pressure
not-
off.
If not, you're going to put Stetson in a situation where he's not comfortable.
Yeah, I agree.
Here we go. This one for Bryce Petty. Oh, this is cool. From Art in rural Texas.
Come on.
Does this game mean more for Bryce Young or Stetson Bennett?
Oh, I mean,
Almost
it's
kinda
kind of
feel-
it's kind of a layup, right? But I would assume that Stetson Bennett, just because of the path that he has taken to get here, this is a storybook ending. I mean, if you write this book, we already had 3 Georgia dogs in here saying he's never going to buy a drink for the rest of his life if he gets this done. These guys are so hungry, guys and gals rather, are so hungry for a championship that I think if Stetson Bennett brings them from walk-on to champion with roses, I think it's a done deal. I think Stetson Bennett has so much more to gain off of this deal.
Trevor,
Yes.
your opinion. Who is more likely to get a non-offensive touchdown tonight?
You've got to go with Bama, which is interesting to make that point. We've talked about the Georgia defense being the standard in terms of defenses. I still think just from a history of Alabama defenses, they found a way to capitalize when you make mistakes. I played against Alabama twice. If you make mistakes, they make the most of it. I remember I was in Tuscaloosa. There was national championship, videos, everything going around. This was a regular season game. I drop back to pass, I get hit in the chest. I fumble the ball on an outside zone, the exchange between me and the running back. They pick the ball up, they take it in for a score. Next thing you know, game's out of reach. Georgia has to take care of the ball. Saban, whatever he's done, whoever he brings in, he creates this culture of make the most of taking advantage on the defensive side of the ball. When they make mistakes, not only do we capitalize from a tackle for loss or tackle for no gain, we turn it into points, man.
Bryce Petty. Trevor, great points. Bryce, who's more likely to get exotic quicker? And for those of you at home, trick plays, trick plays on special teams, double reverses, double passes, these things that coaches drop in for moments like this. Who's most likely to go to that bag first?
Yeah, I'd love to hear from Hack on this side too, just if it's in his nature. My gut tells me it's Billy O, right? I mean, you would think that guy has some things that can draw up outside of a Todd Monken they know who they are. I don't think they're going to try and beat you with some type of sprinkle or scheme. I think Billy O has that green book that we've all seen in Waterboy that he wraps up pretty tight and doesn't let anybody else see, that has some depth to that book. So I don't know. Hack, you tell me.
What I will say is although they may seem exotic to the outside eye who's not in it, what Billy O does a great job of doing is adding wrinkles within a system, within a scheme that you do consistently throughout the year. But because Georgia may play a brand of quarters or a brand of cover 3 that's a little different, he'll notice the small details in the way that somebody dedicates a responsibility, or the way that somebody, maybe they're trying to add an extra hat in the box more than, another team that plays quarters, whatever it may be. He'll find something like that, and it'll be a wrinkle. It'll be something outside that Alabama has never done before, but he'll build it off of something that looks very normal, looks very pedestrian, but will be an opportunity. And something we talked about earlier, and I talked about Bryce Young. If Bryce Young is cerebral as possible, I think there will be an opportunity for this tonight. On the line, live check for Bryce Young. You'll see it. He'll tap the helmet. He'll go easy, slow everything down, and you might see a check that might result in something like this. I'm not guaranteeing it, but I'm saying, knowing Billy O, knowing the way he prepares, if he's going to add that wrinkle to it and he trusts Bryce Young enough, there's an element of that where if they get a certain look, maybe something Georgia's shown once this year, and film study, yada yada yada, he'll take advantage of it with some type of unique, creative shot.
I'm sorry to interrupt, But
You
our
can interrupt all
man
you want, Trevor.
is putting on the hat right now.
Lee
Lee Corso.
Let's
College football. Picking the dogs. Picking the dog. They got Uga right there on set. Right there on set. Guys, we are 5 minutes from scheduled kickoff. We're sitting here, all you listeners, you're sitting on the couch right now. You're tuned in, blood's flowing, everybody's ready to rock and roll. Everybody here, we got one more shot. Leading up to the game, we've picked Bama, we've picked Georgia, we've gone down the line. You've got one last shot to put your game on it. We've already put into Bet Rivers, we put our money in. That's already signed, sealed, and delivered. But as we go into this game, we've got an after dark show, immediate reaction, post game. I want to go ahead and go down the line. Between the four of us, let's throw some bets down. Chug a beer, eat a honey bun or two, stuff them in the mouth, whatever your bet is, and we got to pay up on the after dark show. I'll go first.
So wait, time. While we're talking about laying some money down, lay it the way we lay it. Go to Bet Rivers Sportsbook. Get your money out of your wallet and invest the shit like we do. Go to Bet Rivers. Tonight, the code is FREE10. FREE 10, the numeral 10. And go there with Bet Rivers with us. We're going. These guys are going. You're going. Bet Rivers. Lay your money intelligently. Bet Rivers Sportsbook.
I'm starting it off.
Oh, gosh.
Georgia Bulldogs. If they win by more than 3 points, Hack. First of all, we're going to do our shotgun contest. We'll figure out whatever happens with that.
Let's write these down.
But my bet is this.
You don't want
Georgia wins by more than 3. Hack's taking a shot of my choice at Ellison Brewing.
So Georgia 3.5. If they get 3.5,
Hack's in.
And I hate to say it because Hack picked Georgia as well. I'm gonna go ahead and take my man that didn't
Call
pick
it
Georgia
out,
at all.
B.
So I'm just
Call it
saying
out.
if Georgia beats Bama, my man Whit here has to take 2 shots of my choosing.
Straight up.
2 shots
Straight
of
up
my
win.
choosing.
No
Straight
line.
up.
Straight up win.
He can accept or
George.
deny.
2 shots.
No,
You
there's
accepting
no
the hammer?
accepting
There's
or
no
denying
accept or
here.
deny.
There's,
Are you
2
accepting
shots
the hammer?
live on the after show.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
Hack, you in?
You saw it here first.
It is what it is. So, okay. So, I am the only Roll Tide member on this set. So be it. Double major Tiffin University. It is what it is. Right? So, here we go.
What was your double major?
I don't even remember. Right
Minutia deeper.
So, Alabama win. These 3 will all sing on one of these chairs to the arriving, downtrodden Bulldog crowd that comes back in here. Shouldn't be that big of a deal. You hear from them all day anyway. We'll put choice of song to exclude happy birthday and all that type of stuff. We will put on a nice pop track and let them each at least a verse. At least a verse.
You're saying some like NSYNC.
Something like that.
Yeah, all right.
The Alabama fight song.
All right.
It doesn't
Sweet
rise.
home Alabama.
It does not rise to the level that we need. I got double shots here
Oh.
with Bryce. You know that shit rattles the bones. I mean, if something crazy happens, I'll rise. But for you guys at home, Hack, Bryce, Trevor, they will be warming this up. We should know probably about halftime, third quarter.
Last but not
We
least,
should know.
Hack, what you got?
Well, it's tough because whenever this 12-ounce chug off that you and I are going to do, I'm going to spank you. Can't wait for that. So yeah, we can measure it out. I don't care. That's a given. That's basically like Saban showing up at some national championship game, walking through the door.
A given.
For George, you know what? I'll get you now for us.
Interesting.
So
Hell yeah.
So if Georgia wins this football game, I'll just even say straight up, I don't care. 1 point, 6 points, 12 points, 3 points. Who gives a shit? Quite frankly.
Gold jacket, green jacket. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, exactly. What I want you to do is when all of those downtrodden dogs come walking in here, you're going to have to lead the Georgia Bulldog chant song that I have right here.
No sweater.
Right here, down the line, and
All polo. All polo.
Hey, you're going to have to be a thermostat leader, George. You're going to have to raise the temperature of this entire room.
I love it.
And get those dogs nice and rowdy. There you go. First national championship in 41 years.
Hey, the bets are in. I got one more.
Oh,
I know you guys are all tuning in to ESPN right now for the game, but I challenge all of our listeners right now to join in the bets. Every time there's a score, either side, grab something to drink, take a big old gulp, have a night with your crew, whether it's you and your loved one sitting on the couch, or you having absolute big time group. Tweet it to us. We want to see the videos. We want to see the beverages you guys are rocking with. We're here at
Hold on, Bryce.
We might have to add to that.
But those participating must be 21 years of age.
Much like
If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And to add on to these guys, that's a nifty little bet right there. Every score, take a sip. We've seen Bama be in some ugly dog fight, 10-7 games.
No pun intended, right?
No pun intended.
Right.
So, in the event that this doesn't come out to be a pitcher's duel, also take a sip for any shot of Coach Saban, any shot of Kirby Smart, any shot of Bryce Young's dad, any reference about the mailman. Hope you guys are taking those notes in the event that it is a dog fight. Fellas, let's say, make sure, get this in before the picks and mention that we go live as soon as it hits. We're going live now. We're going live. I thought we already were live.
No, we're going live
We're
again.
live.
though.
Hey,
missed that.
let's just
We
run
did.
this. For those of you just joining in, let's run through 2 words. Who's your pick? So that we already know. We've been talking about it all day.
TK, how about you kick
The
it off?
Georgia Bulldogs, 34-31. I'm taking the Vegas line right on the head. Georgia.
Shoot. Who that coming down the track? Mean machine in red and black. I'm going, boys. I heard it enough today.
I got Ooga. I got them Georgia Bulldogs. 31-24 is what I got.
Here's what pains me. I know these dudes. I've known them for a long time. I love these guys. They're all morons right now. It makes no sense. It's like they all just got back from some super cool vacation in Bora Bora with no cable 2 months ago. They did not see what just happened. And I feel like I got a chance to witness this fight already. And it wasn't even close. So God bless these three. And God bless all of you who come back to Ellison Brewing Company and get a chance to see all these bets get paid off in full. It's ridiculous. Alabama, 34. The other guys, 24.
Done deal. It's a wrap.
That's it. We'll see you after the game. Field of 12, literally now, after dark, college football show, college championship edition, Ellison Brewing Company. We'll see you.